and welcome to this episode of Eagle's Eye. I'm your host, Aubrey Wood. Thanks for tuning in. Today, I'm joined by Ashland University's Athletic Director, Al King. Al, how are you doing today?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So, you've been the Athletic Director at AU since 2015. What brought you to Ashland?
Well, I came a long time ago because I've been the AD for, like you say, since 2015, but I came in 1993. So when I came, I was hired as a sports information director and kind of moved along in that path. I think I was sports information for 21 years. I think I was an associate or assistant AD for a while. But I was looking for a job. I was in Western Pennsylvania. I had friends who they knew the sports information job opened in Ashland. A couple of those people, quite frankly, turned it down. They said, you really should look at it. So took a look, came out, and I've stayed since then.
Yeah. So what made you want to specifically become an athletic director?
And, you know, a lot of people have asked that, and I think every athletic director gets asked that at some point or another. I really wasn't thinking about doing it. You know, you look at, you're in the business that long, you see how different athletic directors do things, what you think is good, what isn't. But I was in sports information, and there was nothing where I was saying, okay, I'm trying to do this to become an athletic director. I was fine with what I was doing. Athletic director that was here at the time got put on leave. So then there were three of us at that time that were basically like shared the job. Sue Ramsey, who was the women's basketball coach at that time, and Lee Owens, who was the head football coach. They were in season, so as the seasons would go on, they started coaching. They had less and less time to do the athletic director duties and the role, so it kind of just started to shift a little bit more toward me. And then I got eventually, my boss, who had been the athletic director, came back for about a month and decided I'm not going to stay. And then I took it over as an interim for about 5 or 6 months. I liked the challenge. Once I got in, and I was doing it. I liked the challenge. I liked the different types of things I was doing. I always thought in the back of my mind, could you do something like that? But this was the first chance I got. I was fortunate. There's a lot of people who go into this and they spend years trying to get to this. You know, they'll say, oh, I did this, I did that. I got good mentoring as I was coming up from other athletic directors and coaches and stuff, but I didn't go into it thinking I was going to get to this role.
Yeah. So what would you say your biggest challenge as an athletic director is?
You know, again, people go into this, and some of them will come in from a coaching background, a business background, and I think what they're trying to do is figure out, okay, fundraising, what's the best way to do this? What will impress people to be an athletic director? I think, as I tell a lot of people that when I get asked this, I think that the things are, you got to be able to make decisions. I think that's a big piece of this. You got to be able to take information and assimilate that and try to figure out what's the best way to act. I think that's a big piece of it. I think you're going to be wrong sometimes, you're going to be right sometimes, so you better have the convictions of those decisions you made. Because if you don't have that backbone to do that, you probably aren't going to last very long, to be honest. I think you have to be able to communicate. I think it goes back a little bit to my sports information background, but if you can't speak to people, either one-on-one or in groups, if you can't be honest and really get to the point and make your point, I think you're going to struggle. Now, other people tell you need to be able to do fundraising, you need to be able to do game operations, compliance. All those things are important, and you have to be able to have some familiarity with it, but I think you better be able to make decisions and live with them. You better be able to do work under some pressure and multitask, because in a day, my day's not one thing all the time, it's a number of things. So I think more than just one thing, like a specific skill, I think it's those 3 or 4 things you really better be able to do.
Yeah. So looking at the other side of your job, what would you say your favorite thing is about being an athletic director?
I still like the games. I still like all the meets, anything like that. We've got 24 different sports here. I like that. I like being around student athletes and coaches. It's a change of seasons, all that type of thing. It's certainly not sitting in meetings that run for an hour and a half and 2 hours all the time. I'm still competitive, so this is the one way I can feed that competitive edge is, can I help build the teams to be as good as they possibly can be? Can we get them the resources they need, the scholarships they need, facilities, good coaching? Those are the things you look at no matter what program it is. But that comes back to me, really, can you can you get those and put those in place? I like developing coaches. I like developing staff, those types of things. So more so than some of the other things, it's those. Still like the games, though. It's the one thing that I would miss that if I get out of this eventually. It would be the games, the people, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So you're on the Division II Athletic Directors Association Board. What is your position on the board, and what does that entail?
I'm a bit, basically, I represent the GMAC, Great Midwest Athletic Conference. Each conference in the country, Division II, has a representative, so there's about 26 of us. I don't have an office like a vice president or president, anything like that, but I do, I go to the meetings. We meet once a year in Indianapolis, that's in the fall. Then normally we'll try to meet at the NCAA convention in January, and then there's the spring, summer meeting in June. We talk about a lot of different things right now. If you follow college athletics, a lot of it is streaming and television is one piece. NIL is certainly another one. Should students be paid? How should they be paid, student athletes? Realignment with conferences. What's the perfect amount of teams a conference should have? How are teams moving? How are schools moving? Certainly the enrollment piece for colleges, Division I, II, or III, is something we talk about a lot. But really, what it really does for me, I've been fortunate to get this post. It's been 3 years I've been doing it. Allows me to hear some different perspectives from around the country, bring those back and share them with the athletic directors, the SWAs, the faculty athletic reps in the GMAC. The idea is, you try to bring back as much as you can and help your league go forward. It's been a lot to learn. With the amount of time I've been in college athletics, I probably had a little bit of an advantage going into it because I knew a lot of different people, but I've learned a lot. I learned a lot of different ways to do things. Some things work, some not so much, but I've learned a lot.
Yeah, so you're also on the NCAA Division II Women's Basketball Regional Advisory Committee. Could you tell us a little bit about that position and then what the advisory committee does?
Yeah, this is the last year for that, and this is 4 years I've done that, and this is going away. Basically, regional advisory committees, you have them in each sport, and those are responsible for looking, when it comes down to select the playoff field, to make those selections. So from women's basketball, we're in the Midwest region, we pick or select 8 schools that are going to go. People here in Ashland follow this closely because of the success of women's basketball. Ashland, Drury, Grand Valley, those 3 teams over the years have been very good. But basically what happens is about 5 weeks out from when the NCAA playoffs start, we meet once a week. We go over all the numbers we have, such as strength of schedule, record in region, record against top 20 teams, that sort of thing. And then what you're basically tasked with doing is selecting the 8 teams that will go to the Midwest Regional Playoffs. From that, one team goes out and goes into the Elite 8. The Elite 8's going on right now in Pittsburgh. Grand Valley's who made it out of our region. I've really liked this. I enjoy this, trying to look at numbers, those types of things, select teams, evaluate teams. We have, like I say, in our league, we have people on all these different ones, like for football, baseball, lacrosse, all those different ones. The thing that's going to change with this, Aubrey, is this is the last year for this. Starting next year, there'll be no regional advisory committees. Everything is going to be what we call data-driven. It's going to be what's called RPI. So it'll just be the straight numbers, and the NCAA will look at those. So now people will sit in the room when you start to talk, and they'll say, well, this team is really good. This team has played well down the stretch, those types of things. It's supposed to be objective and not subjective. For the most part it is, but you still have that human element that you have the way it's been over the years. That's going to go away, and it's going to come down to this about basically it's just straight on the numbers. Division III has had it, I think, for the last 2 years. It's worked pretty well for them. If you follow anything with any of the college sports, you understand how big a piece this is. March Madness is going on now, and it's always one of the biggest, for college athletics, one of the biggest days of the year when you do the selections for that field, selections for the bowl championship series in football. So it's an important piece of this, and I'm glad I've had the chance to be part of it.
So along with your other positions, you're also a mentor on the NCAA Pathways program. What is the Pathways program, and then what does a mentor of the program do?
The Pathway program is put in place by the NCAA, and basically what they try to do is there'll be athletic administrators from around the country. They're trying to be an athletic director. So I think they select, maybe it's 15 or 16 of these people a year, and they assign them a mentor. So this is the fourth one I've had. I think I've had in the last 3 years. And what I basically do is I meet with my mentee once a month on like a Zoom call. Those usually go an hour, and I have a young man named Larry Ernest. He's from Millersville, Pennsylvania, Millersville University. So he's the compliance director there. And usually what he'll do is the week before we're going to talk, he'll give me a list of questions, like, hey, what do you want to talk about? So this last one we had, he was asking questions about budget. How do you build a budget? Your scholarships. How are scholarships determined? What do you do if someone overspends? How do you raise money? What are coaches responsible for as far as fundraising, that sort of thing? But the other time he'll talk about discipline. Another time I think we talked about how do you hire, those types of things. The idea is that the mentee gets to kind of set the agenda each month, but they get to ask all these questions and tap into somebody who's done the job for a while. Also, at the end of the year, the mentee comes to like our campus to take a tour, meet with me in person, talk. I saw Larry at the NCAA convention in Washington, D.C., so I talked to him there for about an hour. But Larry is coming in April here. He's the first one of the mentees I've had they're actually doing this, have come to campus. Again, this is the fourth one I have. I started doing this, it was during the pandemic. So obviously then you didn't have anybody coming. But for this one, it's worked out well. I like it. I feel it's a way to give back. I know what it was like when I was younger. I mean, when I was coming up, you didn't have anything that was programmed like this. It was basically, I would sit with an AD that I worked with and ask questions, or we'd be driving to a game or something, and we'd just talk. This is a lot more formalized. I'm not saying the other way is a bad way to do it, but this at least makes it intentional, and I can think about some things to try to pass along whatever knowledge you have, and I like doing it. This is the one thing, of everything I have, this is the one thing I'd like to keep if I can.
Yeah, that's great. So before becoming an athletic director, you were a sports journalist and spent some time as the Pittsburgh Steelers beat reporter. Could you expand on that experience and how it contributed to your professional life?
Well, I got there after they'd won the Super Bowl, so I wasn't going during the Super Bowl years. It was right after that. It was right at the end of Chuck Noll's tenure. I learned a lot. In those years, my goal was to be in sports journalism as a columnist or write for a major newspaper. And I was writing for a paper basically in the suburbs in the area of Pittsburgh, 50 miles from Pittsburgh, but I wasn't right down in the suburbs. Again, at that time, I thought, okay, I'm going to stay in this and try to be a columnist or a beat writer. I liked it. I learned an incredible amount being around professional coaches and administrators and athletes, how they acted, how they, we talked a little bit here about in a pressure situation. I learned a lot from them in those situations. See how people handle practice every day. See how they deal with people like in a pro football team or getting cut on cut down day, people with injuries. I really, really learned a lot. Traveled all over the United States. For somebody that was like me who was about 32 years old, or about 32 years old, I really liked it. But I also learned that I didn't think I wanted to do it for the rest of my life. I got close at a couple other jobs. I didn't get them, and so obviously that has something to do with it. But after I'd done it for a while, I said, I wouldn't mind going back in college, being a sports information director. I liked that too, doing it. But I will say it's a neat profession. If you can do it, it's really good. Sadly, newspapers aren't what they were when I was doing. Okay, we had there's no internet, there's nothing like that. It's people getting in the newspaper, reading it every morning or every afternoon. So it's a totally different environment. But I would not give up those 4 years that I did that. It was some of the best, most fun I've had.
Yeah. So looking outside of AU athletics, one thing you love to do is run marathons. You've completed the Boston Marathon 8 times. So what is it about running that you enjoy so much?
Well, the bio says that I'm done with the marathons. I'll do the halves and I'll do a lot of trail racing now. But I did all those for a long time and traveled. It's how long your body can really hold up. Where I went to high school, we didn't have cross country or track. So, You know, this is something I picked up after college to stay in shape, and I wasn't a college athlete. If I could have done it, I would have run it. My times aren't that good, but you know, I got friends here, and again, it's a way to stay in shape. I liked it. I really enjoyed the competing. I liked, you know, how do you train? What do you need to do to be successful? In those years, to get to Boston, I had to run for a while. First, it was 3 hours. I had to run under 3 hours to get to Boston. Then it was like 3:10, 3:15. So when I was qualifying to go to Boston, I had to run under 3:15 to get there. So I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the whole thing with Boston. I'm thinking, you know, when I started, I said, can you ever get to something like that? So that was a nice goal to reach. But I ran a lot of other neat marathons. I ran, like I say, in Duluth, Minnesota. I ran in Chicago, Pittsburgh. I got about any place I wanted to go. So I wanted to go to the West Coast. I didn't get there. Got south. But I loved the competition. I loved the people I met all around the country. A lot of friends I still have now that, you know, I run with, or they're like being Cleveland or Akron or things like that. Met a lot of different people. Other thing I think for me, what it did is it got me out of the office. It got me away from the job a little bit. So you know, the guys would say, well, you have a chance to get away. You aren't right up with it all the time. Those years I was running probably 50 to 60 miles a week. It's not like a cross-country guy here at the university, but I was putting a lot of miles in. But I liked it. It got me out, got me away, met a whole different group of people. The benefits just were positive.
Yeah, that's
I guess it was
awesome.
life in the balance before NCAA Division II had life in the balance. So.
Yeah. So switching back to athletics, what's some advice that you have for those who might be looking into becoming an athletic director?
I think there's a guy who used to coach in the NBA, actually coached in Cleveland a little bit. His name was Chuck Daly, coached the Olympic team, and coached the Pistons when they won. And I remember when I was writing in newspapers, he said, if you're going to be in athletics and this part of thing, there's a lot of people who want these jobs. A lot of people will work really hard for them. The business sorts those people out. You have to, and I say this, it sounds like I'm trying to scare people out of it, but you've got to work really, really hard. I mean, really hard, with a lot of different hours. And I think when I was coming up and I was younger, people were willing to do that a little bit more. Not sure they are anymore now. I mean, I tell people, I can remember the first week when I got named the AD, I had 2 different veteran ADs say to me, well, now you're on the clock. It's every day, it's 24 hours a day, but it's every day. You got to be, you know, you got to be responsible. You got to be available. Not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody is willing to do that, nor should they be. And it doesn't make them a bad person if they aren't. But I'm talking about it being right now like being an athletic director. But I remember, like I say, when I was writing with when I was covering the Steelers and stuff, I'd see these guys at the major newspapers and stuff. It was the same thing. I remember the 2 beat writers in Pittsburgh who covered the Steelers. I mean, they just worked like crazy. I mean, it was all the time. And they didn't cut corners. It's a very rewarding position in college athletics. There's nothing better than working with student athletes. Nothing. It's the biggest selling point of the job, to work with young people. It keeps you young, to hear the ideas, to hear their dreams. There's nothing better than that. But there's the other side where you have to, sometimes you let go of people, you discipline people. There's shortages of money. How do you make things work, those challenges? But you have to there's a time commitment here that you have to put in. Not everybody wants to do that. If you want to get in this business, and I don't care if you're Division II, Division I, NAIA, Division, or whatever it is, Division III, you're going to have to put a significant amount of time in it. Doesn't mean you have to be there every single hour of every single day. There is a piece of, you get time management down, you can figure out how to do it. But it's a time-consuming job, it's a competitive job. If you like that, and you like being around students, it's a nice profession. Guys get tired, get out. I used to tell in sports information, I could tell when guys were about ready to get out. They wouldn't be on the buses anymore, could see it in their face, oh, I got another game, or that type of thing. I've been fortunate, I've not gotten to that where I don't want to go to the game, or like they say the weekend, okay, you got 5 games between baseball, softball, and lacrosse. I still like that. So to me, it would be hard for me to give that up.
Yeah, so if someone wanted to contact you with questions or anything about being an athletic director, how would they do that?
Everybody has my cell phone, so you can call me on my cell phone or text me. It's on the web. I get that a lot. A lot of times students will come in, sit down, and say, I want to get in this. What do I do? And they usually ask some pretty good questions. But I'm pretty open about this. there's no reason why I'm older in my career, I would help anybody. Some of the people I have helped, we've come back and we've hired them here, which is always rewarding too. But I'm pretty much open to that, and I think most most athletic directors would be, that they would try to help where they could.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and chat with us.
Again, that's okay. Again, as I tell you, people always say that it's busy. This is what I'm supposed to do. There's other things. They always think I'm doing scheduling or something. I don't do scheduling, really. I'm supposed to do this. So, again, thanks for asking me to come on.
Yeah, of course. So that is it for this episode of Eagle's Eye. Be sure to follow us across all social media at AUTV Ashland. Until next time, I'm Aubrey Wood. Thanks for watching.